Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So this is going to be part two of the judging. Stop your judging, or turn off the judging and turn on the love. And I want to open it up with number 16 out of the 33 codes. It was just like perfect for what I was going to talk about today. And so let's open that, and I'll share it again. What this book, it's really a very wonderful, inspiring book. Good way to start the day for 33 days in a row, and or just keep reading it after that. So code 16 is: be like an eagle, expressing your grandiose harmony as you open both wings to balance your majestic flight. Two equally expanded arms synchronizing in unity to enable your lofty mission. Be like a raven in a glamorous act of continual balancing to carry out your innate calling masterfully. You are three in one being. Handle each part symmetrically as you experience the stupendous miracles of life from your center. Harmony is the cardinal nature of source intelligence, as she everlastingly expands through the web of creation. She seeks her own zero point between all dualities in realities she creates. Let me read that again. Her way of constant give. Oh, wait, nope. As she everlastingly expands through the web of creation, so as you're creating, she seeks her own zero point, you seek your own zero point, between all dualities in realities she creates. So you seek your zero point between the dualities of your reality that you create, or realities that you create. Her way of constant give and take balances all her acts. Be like her, internalize a scale of justice as you take on fascinating roles in the experimental game of life. Calibrate the rhythm of your being to rest in the field of liberty. All of life is sacred. Surrender to the allurement to name things. Let them all unfold freely, existing to realize their own adventure of evolution. All of life is sanctified. Surrender the temptation to perceive any part as lesser than. It may seem that there are many, and yet in truth there is only one, capital one, O-N-E. We are part of all the one. You realize your highest state of knowing when you embrace all in the magnetic field of your unwavering love. So that is perfect for what I want to talk about today. So I just want to take this judgment part the first part, and expand on that a little bit to bring about some more awareness, so that you can start to identify where it is that you're judging, why you are, if you need to know, and how to to turn off the judging, to slow it down. Of course, we're going to go through and we're going to be judging things in our life, but it's to turn most of it down. So we're going to talk about judging others with our story of what they think of us. With our stories, we're going to look at how our stories, and those stories have judgments in them of duality, of distractions, of programming, to keep us from being our own empowered beingness. And so here's some more that you can do some journaling to think about in a broad sweep is what judgments do I have on men, on women, on about children? The children should be seen and not heard. Men, there's no good men left if you're looking for a man, or men are they have more power over us. They could kill us at any time, so not feeling safe. Women, we're second class. We're not strong enough. We're weak. Even though you might not feel that, but you yourself might not feel weak because you said, I'm not going to be like my mother, who you thought of as weak, or other women, I'm not going to be a dumb blonde, or I hear a lot of people saying, to counter all those prior beliefs and feeling unsafe, they said, I'm going to be a boss lady. I'm going to be it's like turning up the energy. Like I'm going to be more like the guys. So I don't, so I feel safer in my life. So what do you believe about family? What are your beliefs around family that are judgments? Around religion, if you're Jewish, are you judging other religions? If you're Christian, are you judging other people in other religions? Where are the judgments? That's what we want to pull out, because that is what's creating your world. Those judgments are creating your world. What do you believe about education? So, like, you can believe somebody who graduated from a college has more to offer than somebody who has been self-taught. And you can believe somebody that has a degree for you is more valuable than somebody who's been out in the world and is has different learnings from experiencing the world and has mastered a lot of different things, but doesn't have the letters after their name. That. So it's like looking at and seeing what education. What do you believe about education? And there's a lot of stuff in education that's come up and that's being revealed since COVID, like 4 years ago. What do you believe about cultures, different cultures from yours? What do you believe about different nationalities than yours? The Russians, the Chinese, the Americans, the UK. It's just like what are the beliefs that you're feeling that you've created through generations, that's been passed on from your grandparents to your parents to you? Politics, what are you believing? There's a statistic, I think it's something like over 70% of people who grew up in a Democratic home are going to vote Democratic, not because you've studied studied what it means to be a Democrat. It just means you're just following and doing what your parents did without, without really considering and investigating and seeing what are my real beliefs. What do you believe about challenges or problems? How do you look at those? How do you cope with those? What are the beliefs around them that create the coping around those things that come up in your life? What do you believe about love? A lot of people they feel if they hear love, it's like they automatically get defensive. They might not be able to handle the word love right now because it reminds them that they have a judgment that they're not loved because of certain circumstances that happened in their life. And so, and then what do you believe about relationships, whether it's friendship, whether it's peer, whether it's at work, whether it's a love relationship, a life partner, etc. You know, what do you believe? What do you believe about God or source or the quantum field? You know, all of our judgments and beliefs around those things is what is creating our world. And even if you've done a lot of work on this, there's still a lot to come out, and so these are subjects that you can go and journal on and just be pulling out, or just take like one of these a day. Okay, what do I believe about men? I've done workshops for you know, relationships for people who are dating, and a lot of times, like, there's no good men. They're you know, they're incompetent. They're, you know, just they you know, they're not faithful. They're you know, strong-minded, they're angry, they're not to be trusted. I can't keep a good man. There aren't any good men. So all of those things, you know, were brought up in a relationship workshop that I did with somebody who's a matchmaker. And I'm like, well, if you're believing this, then it's not safe for you to find a man. And so you're wanting something, but your beliefs and judgments about them is actually keeping you from finding that partner, finding somebody to date that you like. And so it's starting to see, and a lot of those beliefs are not yours. You know, when why I feel this is so important, one of my big awakenings that I've talked about before that happened when I was in my 40s, when I had it, one of what the message that came to me is, look at all your beliefs. Look at all your beliefs. And I was having insomnia at the time and stuff too. So I'd be up in the middle of the night, nobody around, and I'd be you know, finding you know, thinking about, yeah. And so something would come up. And usually when we're doing this too, it's something that we fear, or something that we don't want to happen, or something that we're believing, you know, a judgment about ourselves, that we're not good enough, we're not strong enough, etc. Comparing ourselves, or we are also then imagining stories of what other people think of us. And I want to say imagining, because you don't know the truth. You don't know that exactly, but you have this imagination that you create a story in your head about, oh, if somebody meets me, or like you met somebody, but they're thinking this and this and this and this of me. And so I need to get that shit together, right? But most likely they're not thinking any of that about you. And we tend to make everything about us, right? And so that's part of everybody has a bit of narcissism, but it's, and particularly I would say too, if you're an only child, you've grown up thinking that you cause your parents, everything that you do causes your parents to feel the way they're feeling, because nobody's explaining that we each respond from somebody could say something to us, have a judgment or question something that we said, or and they might just be you know, it's really, we're projecting our beliefs about ourselves onto somebody else and thinking they're reflecting those back to us, and that just isn't true. They, you know, particularly if you first meet, they don't know you, and they're probably thinking the same thing. That's what I want to share. A big part of this is you're judging yourself more than other people are judging you, and they're judging themselves more than they're judging you. And so everybody's concerned about like how they're showing up, how they're being received, are they safe, are they good enough? Are they worthy? In all these different ways, and wanting to be liked and loved and seen and heard, and hoping, like, I'm just saying romantic relationships now, like, hoping this is the one. And then what happens is, because you're projecting how you feel about yourself rather than working on your confidence and your and loving yourself and coming from that place, you're now going to sacrifice yourself and abandon yourselves and think, okay, if how can I show up so they see me differently? So they, what you're trying to decide, what do they want? And they were originally attracted to you because of whatever the situation was. And now you're changing it up. Now you're trying to figure out, you're not in your body, you're not clear. You're trying to figure out how they're judging you so you can fix it. And so you can twist yourself into whatever, sexy mama, hot mama, sexual being, pleasure, do whatever you have to do in order to make this person stick around. Right? You're doing stuff to have them stick around. And where the work should really be on you, what is it in you, what your insecurity? So if you went to your heart with that insecurity, saying like, oh, I'm not good enough. And let's just go there for a moment. And so I'm actually going to take you through. Um, so if we're looking at all this stuff, so here's a process that you can go through, and mainly in the beginning, to kind of see this process so you can understand where the judgments are coming from. But after a while, it'll be just like a basic couple steps. But one is your awareness. So your awareness, like, what am I focused on? What am I focusing on? What am I thinking? And a lot of times you'll feel yourself start to contract, to start to feel sick to your stomach, to feel not good, feel maybe anxious or unlovable, right? Because, and then that should get, like, as soon as you start to feel that, it's like, oh, what am I thinking? And then you can get like, oh, I was doing this, I was in this unconscious place of playing out this fantasy reality in my head, but about how this person isn't going to like me and what I'm going to do to get them to like me. And when you're doing that, it's like your body doesn't know the difference between make believe and reality. So as you're going through that and feeling the feelings of where you're judging yourself, your body starts creating adrenaline. It's like, how do I get safe? Your ego gets involved, starts adding to the story. You go into fight or flight, and then you're trying to resolve it. And it becomes overwhelming, overstimulating, and doesn't feel safe. And then so your creative factors then close down, and then either abandon it, feel terrible about yourself, and then go into this even more deeply judging the self. So the thing is, like, become aware where you're focused, that like, I'm creating a story and it hasn't happened and it's make believe, and then ask, is it true? I mean, that's like, so is this story true? Are you reliving an old story? Or is this a new sort of fantasy? Like, we don't know that we're doing this most of the time until you become aware of it. And that's what I want you to start to see, that you're to become aware of, like, how you're unconsciously judging almost everything that goes on around you, and how you're judging it as something you don't want or something you do want. It is creating this reality. It's creating the reality. Like I said, if you're thinking that men aren't safe to be around and there aren't any good ones that you can trust, then you're not wanting to really attract anybody because it won't feel safe. So you're not open to meeting anybody really, even though you have the desire to, but you won't because you're repelling them because you don't feel safe and you don't want to be hurt. So awareness, is it true? And then also, it's like I see a lot of times when we create stories that we're creating it as a distraction. So a lot of us, and this is how I see this. So a lot of us sensitives are empaths, and we're nurturers. We feel the need to help others, or we feel compelled to do that, or that's how we get our validation is by helping others, or we um, feel needed. And so we won't be abandoned if people need us and we help them solve their problems. Or am I focused on them because I want to fix this because then I can stop feeling it? So that's usually like a child who has parents that, one of the parents has a strong energy that of unhappiness or something, and you feel it's your job to make them happy so you're not feeling their depression or their sadness or their grief or whatever. So you become the one to make that better so you feel better. And then also, so what happens then? We grow up as adults and we put everybody first and ourselves last. And so I find that a lot of times when it's like time for us to do our work, to focus on what are our judgments and do our homework and heal ourselves, do or create a business or create the right relationships. How do I clear those beliefs and so that I can have the love of my life in my life? How do I clear beliefs and stuff around family so I feel free, and past lives and ancestral stuff, so there's lots of judgments in here that we have no idea. That's why I brought it up early, because as you move through your life going forward now, you're going to start to see those if you do this work. And so a lot of times our ego will say, oh, we got to go help this person, or we got to clean the house first, or all these, I got to shop first, or I need to learn this first because I'm not smart enough. I need to clear the clutter because that's overwhelming. There's all these different things that let me think about, that I should help that person do that. And I should help. It's distracting from you being in your world and creating the world, the reality that you do want, like I read in this book, right? When the chapter 16 out of the 33 codes, that you're keeping yourself. It's a way to keep yourself distracted. And this is really important. So where are you distracting yourself by judging others? And a lot of times people too, right? You don't want to feel your feelings. You don't want to feel your judgments because they're not good judgments, right? When you know that you are unconditional love, then when you know you are worthy, when you know that you are enough, that you were born into the world like that, and know it like you live it, it's in you. You don't have to just think about it. It is you, which you will learn. That's why I'm teaching this, is that then you won't distract yourself, because you'll know that you are worthy of having the time and creating what you want to create in your realities for yourself and for the world. But if you keep putting your energy, even if it's fantasy thoughts, and creating stories around other people's problems, and that they shouldn't have the problem, or they shouldn't have this, or I need to fix that. You don't need to anything. You need you would benefit from being you and serving you in this now moment. Okay. So that did that. I hope that's clear. And then, so again, awareness, is it true? Is your focus a distraction? Is your focus wasting your time and your life? To act like, is this worth my time and my life? So that's another question. So this is, yeah. So is that, and it's part of the distraction. Like, what would you be doing if you weren't fantasizing or making up stories about other people and how you judge them and how they're not good enough or they're not wise enough and they don't make enough money and they don't dress a certain way and God, all the drama, all this extra drama and energy that's draining and again, this, just understand it, be compassionate, don't beat yourself up, just be compassionate. This is part of how you've been conditioned and programmed, part of what you've done to cope in order to feel worthy and to feel seen and heard, etc. So to just notice, so notice when you're being drained around people or drained just in your day, like you felt really good and all of a sudden you're like exhausted, if it's not the energies around from the solar and what's happening in the world, etc. But it's like, oh, I've just been in my head. Like just keep noticing what's going on inside of me. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I was just in this fantasy story and it was not positive. I was going down a negative road. And that was just draining my energy. And I feel tired. And so it's like, pull your energy back, pull your energy back from those people, pull your energy back from those stories, come back to right here, right now. Breathe in deeply. In fact, take a breath right now. Just take a nice, deep, slow breath all the way down into your belly. And then, come back and feel safe. Notice how a lot of your stories, a lot of the stuff in your head is distracting and scary and doesn't feel safe and get you into fight or flight. So your adrenals are going. This is what you get tired. You get just like, and you have stories and judging about, about work, about seeing somebody, about having to have a conversation, about creating something, about like I'll have this sometimes about like doing a painting I don't want to do, as a learning process because I'm those of you who don't know, I'm at this moment going through an art mastery class and learning all the things you don't learn in art school. That's fabulous, which I love, but there's some things I don't like or thought I didn't like, because sometimes it's because we don't know. We don't know how to do it. We don't know how to be. We don't, so it's like there's a lot of unknowns. And in those unknowns, all of a sudden we make that up as not safe, scary, challenging. And we go down this storytelling road that keeps us out of the moment. So you've gone unconscious when you're in story time. You've gone unconscious when you're judging. You've gone unconscious. You're living from your programming. When you're reminiscing on something from the past, you've gone unconscious. Right here, right now is consciousness. So the next question to ask yourself is where did this judgment come from? Is this mine? So what I discovered a lot when I was going back in my 40s was most of the stuff wasn't mine. Most of the stuff was like my mother or in society, what brought up commercials, magazines. A great example of this is like on the aging, like aging is how here in the United States, I can't speak for other countries, but aging here has been demonized. You know why? Because getting all the things to keep making yourself look young is a profit for who? You know, it's a profit for these different industries that make a lot of money off of your insecurities, and that go pharmaceutical, the healthcare business, and you know, makeup and all that, and the medical, cosmology, etc., makes a lot of money off of your insecurities about aging. And then it's also the cutting off the divide of sharing wisdom and being creative. And so anyway, this has been being produced, you know, over lots of time to get each generation believing less and less in aging, energetically, vitally, of being wise and sharing in the lives of those that are your grandchildren and your children, etc. You become almost like they've made it so that you're useless, you're sick, and you know you're a drain on society, and which is a lot of bull. So just know that that's marketing, and that's people making money off of your insecurities. And that's like go all the way back. Like there's 10-year-olds or younger worrying about their weight, worrying about how they look, worrying that, you know, everybody trying to be a certain way. However, the media is portraying what is the latest look and how you should be. So just know that you're being programmed all the time when you're growing up, with ads, with the magazines, with social media, with commercials. And so this is just a pure example that these are not your beliefs. Like you didn't come up with this on your own through your own experience of talking to, you know, people who are older than you, the generation above yours, and above that to your grandparents and stuff. And really, I decided that I was going to have my own beliefs about this. And I tell you, every year I'm getting healthier and healthier. There's like amazing things. Yes, there are certain things from wear and tear that happen, but you know, as far you have to take responsibility for this vitality, for your uh, wisdom and vitality as you age, and not let the other people who are benefiting from you tell you what to eat, what to put on your skin, how you should look. You get to decide yourself. And really, that is so empowering. So, again, where did these judgments, these beliefs, these divides, you know, white against black or Chinese, you know, they're not Russians, you know, where did this come from? From your parents, from your grandparents, from school? Are they teaching the things in school that divide? Religion is a big divider. So there's lots of stuff that you can look in that. It causes war. And it's like divide, you're not good enough to go to heaven, right? There's creating bunches of insecurity things that are not true. And so you have to do your own work and figure out what's true for you. What are you truly deciding that's important to you, and that you can actually have an experience with, and deciding that, hey, this is what I prefer in this reality, in your reality now. And the things you don't like, you're discovering in your reality, are judgments that are draining and not serving you and not the truth. And you get to recreate new realities. And then the next question to ask is, what would I be doing if I'm not doing this judging? what would I be doing if I'm not judging, if I'm not believing these disempowering beliefs, limiting beliefs, if I'm not all focused out on other people and their thing and trying to get them to like me so that I feel okay and that I feel safe. And there's a judgment right there that I'm not safe. So what's creating the judgments that you're not safe? Now, you might have had a past experience where you were not safe, and particularly a child, adults need to help take care of you. But as an adult too, so the safety I will share that I've had to learn is inside. The safety is inside and it's outside. There, finding people who you feel safe around and people who are care about your safety are really important, but the original safety is inside of you. And so it's like looking at these judgments that you have that you're not safe and logically changing them and going through it. And it's like, if you grew up with a mother and you were in a womb of a mother who did not feel safe, you most likely do not feel safe. And that might be passed down from generation to generation to generation. And so the working on you feeling safe will help change the energy of all those generations and future generations. So look at, where did it come from that I didn't feel safe? And I'm not saying that you're going to feel safe every time, because there'll be instances where you don't feel safe, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, we need that. That's part of your innate survival. But it's the stories and judgments that are making you that are draining you are not the truth. So I would say, like, when I was growing up, there was a lot of energy and programming around blacks and whites. And so, on the whole, I had no, as far as I was concerned, and I remember I had a black friend when I was in kindergarten, and I've had them throughout my different colored skinned people in my lifetime. I actually that I love as friends, and I don't discriminate them on a conscious level. But I remember one point, actually after reading an article in the Washington Post, that a black man wrote about his anger of all the oppression and everything that they've been through, and how he wanted to take it out on, he wanted to hurt white people. And then I remember, walking in an area that was mainly Black people, and all of a sudden feeling afraid. And I was like, I had to be like clear, like, wait a minute, I had to work on that. And, like locking my door of my car door if a Black man was walking by. And I saw that programming, whereas that was underneath. It was not the Marilyn that was here in this moment, but something underneath came up with the fear that was a programming. And so, and it was kind of a double whammy then too. So I'm just sharing that it was also a man. So a man could hurt me physically, and then a Black man from that article, wants to harm me because of all the injustice that's happened to them. But this man wasn't going to do any of that. But this was the story and judgments that I was making up, and having, to see those little things that add up day after day after day, year after year after year, from a baby on, So as you start to become aware, now you can make changes. You can change in the moment that these things start to occur. So a lot of times now I will be, just be like, oh, delete, delete. That's not my belief. I don't own that. And I go to my heart and I come into the present moment, right? Because if I'm in that story, I've gone unconscious. And I come back to this moment in my heart and I say, I choose love. So I hold myself with that thought. So it's like compassion. I hold myself that I have that thought and I hold them with love, unconditional love in this now moment for them, for me. So I want you to think about the infinity sign horizontally. So you can draw it out on your paper, the infinity sign, and in the middle of it, put a black dot. And so just think our stories and our judgments go either to the good side of that or the dark side, the light or the dark. And where we want to be is in the middle with love. So it's like we can go that way and then we come back into the middle like love. We're just becoming aware of the emotions, feelings, thoughts that are programmed. We don't want to say necessarily good or bad. It's just like, oh, programmed. And so if there's, and then we're going to reprogram them in a way that going back to love. We're just going to like be in this moment, and from unconditional love, I'm being in this moment and let what's in this moment. And right, it's just like sitting in the car and letting the person walk by me. Feeling love and compassion for myself and for them. Or I don't even have to feel compassion for them. I don't know anything, but I can feel unconditional love. So I want to say it isn't like I'm giving love either. When I open my heart, it feels like it's a channel. It feels like it's a channel from God, source, quantum field, that unconditional love that is all, that is the one. And it's just like, it just is radiating out of me. It's not like I love you. No, it's just we are one. It's we are one. And that's like the in center of the infinity spot is like we are one. Trying to see something. What was it that 0 point, right? 0 point. I wanted to I was forgetting that. So 0 point in this infinity, just thinking that right there, we're one. We're one with everything. And it's more neutral. It's neutral. It's not dividing. It's more unity, bringing it together. And it's the energy of both, and that's that even in, yin yang, good, bad, there's even though there's evil going on, the evil is part of the one. And it's there for us to learn from. It's part of that has been created through individuals wanting to create it, to that's their reality, in order for us to learn and to who we are and where we're judging and how to come back to one, how to find ourselves, who we really are. So solution is get back to the present moment, realizing, oh, we're in story. Choose love, choose the unconditional love, to be in my heart, to let this, to be one, to unite. And notice in this moment what it feels like. When you are in your heart, when you're connected to one, and one is just being in this present moment. You've never been here before. I always say, like, in this present moment, even if it's like you're with a family member, you've never been in this moment with this family member right here, right now. So don't play any old stories about it. You've never been in this moment before with this man in your life or this woman in your life, right here, right now. Even though you have ideas and stories about it right here, right now, that is not a true reality that you're making up, because there's only right here, right now, where you can create from. Otherwise, it's an old story. It's ego playing out, it's programming playing out, and it doesn't serve you to be creative in this moment. So the other thing is, like I said, you can create like, I'm sorry, forgive me, I love you, thank you. You can do the Ho'oponopono prayer. Like, delete that thought. I mean, I've been walking out around town, and I'll see somebody who I think, I'll say, did they look in the mirror today? And I'll be, oops, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I come back to neutral. Like, that's not my place. It's not my place to judge how somebody else should show up. We're each living our own life. We're each designing and creating our own life from our own stories, from our own conditioning and programming, and from past lives, from ancestors, from parallel lives, from this life. So it's like, all we can be responsible for any change is in ourselves. But I know as soon as you change in yourself, you change your reality. You've shifted the timeline. And whatever you healed is healed back into the past as well as into the future. You've created a whole new place that you're playing. All right, so I think that's it. So there's lots of homework that you can do and to look at, and this will be something that will continue on. And if I ask you, what's the story? You understand what the story is, or what's the judgments that's going on there? How are you judging yourself? How are you judging others? How are you judging yourself through others? Right? You think it's like, oh, you're pointing the finger at them, but it's you're projecting your judgments onto that, they're thinking that about you. So a lot of times, if you can clear that up, there's a whole new relationship there. So anyway, there's a lot we're going to be talking a lot about all of this. We're going to go deep into different things, and you're going to be transcending these old beliefs and programming and transforming into the person that you want to be and how you want to experience the world. And I'm going to share that the next month topic is going to be on social anxiety, because a lot of people have social anxiety. Okay, so until we meet again, love, live, and matter, and practice, practice, practice. This is really powerful. Like, you do this, and you're like I said, just change one little thing and your reality changes. So come up with questions, write questions down, write ideas down, write the challenges that you're like, I get it, but I don't understand this, and this is the relationship I'm in, and bring those to next week's Q&A, or write them out and send them to me, and then I can answer them through the Q&A without you having to be there. Okay, until we meet again. Love you. Bye.